welcome back to Better Than Yesterday. My name is Daniel Hammond, and I'm joined by my best friend, Michael Janssen van Rensburg. Today is our second book review episode, and this video is titled Why You Should Read 12 Rules for Life, where Michael and I will just be having a really good conversation about what we've learned out of this book and why we do honestly recommend it to young people out there. So all of that aside, Michael, it's been a while since we've had a video where it's just our two beautiful faces on this podcast, bro. And yeah, tell me, how's it been going with you, man? I know the last time we had group sort of video was when I was in South Africa, man, and we were in the same group.
Yes, man, that was a blessed time. Hopefully you guys enjoyed those videos where we were speaking to Lumko and Leroy. I think people definitely did enjoy that. That was really cool to get their thoughts on all their real estate and just being successful as a young person, man. But I've been really excited to get into talking about this book. Jordan Peterson, he's someone that's played such a big role in my life, man. Just the inspiration, motivation, his way of thinking, has just really changed my views and just sort of encouraged it as well. And he's really taught me a lot, but excited to get into that. But otherwise, I've been on holiday actually from university, but it hasn't felt like a holiday, man. I've been keeping so busy. I've been working a few different jobs, but it's going well, man. I'm blessed to have those jobs, and it's been going well. Hitting the gym. I just actually came back from a little leg session, so I'm gonna be struggling to walk tomorrow, I think. But apart from that, I'm so well, man. How you been?
Oh, yeah, now I've been, to be honest, I've been a bit exhausted. I've been taking on a lot lately. Also been on holiday for I think the last month. Like you said, it hasn't felt like a holiday. I've been working on my company. I've been getting my real estate license thing sorted out, and yeah, I've just been really busy investing in other people's lives as well with church and just doing some community work, taking part in this Mr. and Mrs. United pageant, bro. So yeah, it's been quite hectic. I won't lie. I actually got to a point where I told myself I need to step back now and take a break. So I've recently come from the farm where I was just offline, and just indulging in nature and giving myself a bit of love and just attention. Just spending time thinking about how I can go forward in this year, what I can do not to get so exhausted, and what I really need to focus on in terms of not taking on too much. As First Man says, there's a rule of taking on 2 to 3 things in your life and giving your best in that, instead of taking on 6, 7 stuff and sort of making a mess out of it, or not being as efficient as you could be if you were just taking on 3 things. But yeah, I'm feeling better now. Recharged. I've really got my focus back, and I'm ready to take on my second semester at university. That's definitely one of my top priorities. And then excited to do a bit more on YouTube as well, and just improving Instagram and being better than yesterday.
Amen. That's our philosophy. Man, let's get into it, man. So this book, bro, I was first recommended to read this book. Well, I think let me go back all the way to when I first discovered Jordan Peterson. So I first came across Jordan Peterson probably back in 2018. I think I was watching a few of his videos and his lectures that went quite viral online back then, and it was really good stuff. He was giving some really good advice, talking about big issues, and he was just giving his thoughts on them. But I really liked the way that he spoke and the way that he articulated himself on these different issues. So and then I came across his book 12 Rules for Life, and I heard he has a previous book before this book that's called The Maps of Meaning, which is also really highly rated. So when I saw that this book had came out, I was quite excited to read it. And my dad as well, he was also someone who watched and listened to Jordan Peterson. So we purchased this book on Kindle all the way back then, man. But we both only ended up reading this book this year, man. Earlier this year, we both completed it, and for me, it was such an awesome read, man. I really can't recommend it enough, and we're going to get into exactly why. But I think it's an amazing book for young people to read because it just equips you really well with how to deal with a lot of different things in your life. Not only just being the best version of yourself, but how to deal with other people, how you should treat other people, how you should treat yourself. What kind of things you should pursue in your life, whether it be as a career or even just to keep yourself from going crazy. So it equips you with so many different things. So I think it's really worth reading, man. But how did you come across this book, man?
Yeah, so you actually recommended it to me a lot, like at the beginning of this year when I
Sure.
came up with the idea of having us like read books every month, read a book, and then I think we sort of both got to the point where we're like, so we're both going to be trying to read one book each month, and let's then put it on YouTube. As we have this platform, why don't we share and like recommend the books that we read, give our honest opinions on them. So yeah, I came across this book from you, and then suddenly like I've just been getting like a lot of Jordan Peterson quotes and like reels on my Instagram feed, and yeah, he's a really like respectable guy. A lot of what he says, it does make sense to me, because when you're looking and taking in content from other people, you have to see if it does make sense for yourself, and if you agree with what they say, if it's like something that speaks to, or that's on the same level or page as your standards or your philosophy in life, like whatever you think is right and what's like best and how you've been living life, like sort of your values.
So it lines up with your values. I see, man.
It really does. Yeah, that's what I want to say. So honestly, like this is a very dense book, and it's not an easy read. So you'll really need to be like focused and like either in bed or sitting down, like and just like reading this book, but like all of your thoughts and like you're focused, you're reading this book. You can't just read it casually, like you've said earlier. So it does take a lot, and once you finish like one rule, you have to sit there and think about that rule and how you can apply it, what you understand from that rule, and what you can apply in your life. So yeah, what's like the value that this book's added to my life is that it actually helped me sharpen my vocabulary, as Jordan Peterson uses a lot of big words. And yeah, so I actually needed to take the dictionary sometimes to see what the meaning of this word is, so that I could understand a specific sentence. And yeah, like you said, it's not just a book that aims specifically at a certain area of your life. Like you named it 12 rules for life. So it is for life in general, and then it has like deeper rules as well. But it actually helps in all areas of your life. Like you said, it comes to relationships. This isn't just platonic relationships, these are romantic relationships as well. It speaks about how you carry yourself as a person, so your relationship with yourself. And it talks about in rule 1, it talks about the hierarchy which there is in life and where you place yourself. So it talks, he uses the example of a lobster, and this did stand out to me because let me talk about me specifically. Like I was at a place where I was very unconfident in life, and I thought that couldn't change. I would stay this insecure guy that's never like valued or respected. And then what this book taught me is, once you start changing that cycle, having like positive thoughts and positive experiences, like these little things, maybe I stood up for myself today. I said no to someone where I would have said yes like a day before, like being a nice guy, just saying yes because you don't want to displease someone. You just want to please someone, even though you're not pleasing yourself. So you can get up in your confidence, and you can start building at it. And it says, like, when a lobster wins a battle, it like starts standing up taller, and like it expands. It actually looks bigger. Whereas when the opposite happens, like it loses a battle, it starts to shrimp, and it's just smaller. And if it keeps losing, it just like falls down the hierarchy. And that's kind of like the same principle in human life. You keep adding up and going up in the hierarchy as you win constant battles. Yeah.
That's very good, bro. I think that was the first rule that he spoke about, but
That was, yeah.
it really starts off the book well, man. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. I think a lot of people, some of the rules, if you were to read them, you'll probably do this after watching this video, or if you do end up reading this book, you'll read through the rules, and they have quite funny like names, as the titles. Like, I think one of the rules is, pet a cat when you see it on the street. So obviously, sometimes it's just a small thing that obviously expands on that a lot and really gives a lot of meaning of why you should do that kind of thing and what that really means, how to apply that in your life. It's not just about petting cats, it goes a lot deeper than that. And it talks about, enjoying the small things in life. So, that's just an example of how sometimes the names of the rules are quite funny, but, it actually has already a lot of meaning to it. But there's so many rules, man. We could, if we were to take a whole video to summarize this, I think we could spend like 20 minutes on each rule just talking about, what it means for us. But I mean, that's not what we're here to do in this video. We really want you guys to go and read this book for yourselves. But a couple of things that stood out to me, man. There's one rule, it's number 7, and he talks about pursuing what is meaningful and not what is expedient, man. And I think that's something, anyone who watches Better Than Yesterday knows that we are all about like long-term growth. We don't like to focus on the short term. We don't give short-term gratification much time here on Better Than Yesterday, and that's sort of what he talks about in that rule, is how it's the rule is really about how to deal with suffering. So because what he says is that life is suffering, and what people, and it's very true, if you look at the world in its core, it's a lot of darkness and a lot of really like bad things happening, and we sort of have to learn how to deal with that. And what a lot of people do is they just pursue short-term pleasures, like drugs, alcohol, sex, whatever it be. They're just pursuing these short-term pleasures that give you some happiness right now, but they don't really have any meaning in the long term, and they don't fulfill you. So what he says, a better way of dealing with suffering is pursuing something that is meaningful, whether that be with your career, just with your life in general. That should be your greatest purpose, is to pursue something that is meaningful with your time, with your talents, and all these things. And what he says, which is really cool, one of the most meaningful things that you can pursue is sacrifice, actually. And it's sacrifice for the growth of other people. So you're not thinking about yourself. And I think that's so true, man. If we were to live our lives all just for ourselves, I think you end up being very unhappy, man. But as soon as, when I think about my greater purpose, and it all comes down to how I influence other people. That's one of my biggest goals in life, is I want to have a positive impact and influence on the people around me. So when I think about what gives me meaning in life, it's always comes down to adding value to other people's lives and making a sacrifice for the growth of other people. That's what he says in that rule, man, which is so cool. And I think it's important, because sometimes life can be a difficult and dark slog, without that kind of stuff. So that's what's so cool about this book. He doesn't just tackle, the small light issues. Sometimes he does, but he really tackles, how to go about life without, falling into darkness. And it's really cool, because what I also find really cool, so obviously both Daniel and I, who are the co-hosts of this channel, we are Christians and believers of God. And Jordan Peterson, I think he doesn't subscribe to any specific belief. I think recently he has, but what he does is he gathers a lot from Christianity. Like, he speaks about the Bible a lot in this book, and he speaks a lot about all types of different views, even philosophers from hundreds of years ago, and all different types of people. He gathers the views and some of the best of what you can find, because there's there's obviously a lot that you can learn from the Bible, but there's also a lot that you can learn from those philosophers, those Greek philosophers back in the day, even the early psychologists. Because Jordan Peterson is a clinical psychologist, so he speaks a lot about like Nietzsche and all those guys. And I think what he does really well is he takes value and finds value from all different views and aspects and puts it together in this book to just give you advice that is so valuable to your life, man. So that's something that I found really cool.
That is very true.
Really cool. I wanted to ask you, man, what specifically would you say makes this book a good one for young people to read, man?
Yeah, so that's like quite a good question, like a difficult one as well. But I have thought about this earlier. Why is it a good book for young people to read? Because it kind of gives you a guideline as well. So, like you said, he takes views from the Bible and different philosophers. And what comes forth to me right now, as you were speaking about that, is he doesn't try and put like a biased view.
Yeah, exactly.
To us, he doesn't lead us thinking in one specific way, and he leaves it open to us to think and to do what we want with the book and the information. So he doesn't say do this because I say you have to do this and that's the best way. He gives us this book which like I said, for young people it's a guideline. So out of each specific rule you can take what you find valuable and you can add it to your life. And he gives so much valuable information that's just going to be of assistance in your life as it has been in mine. Just like that first rule, stand up straight with your shoulders back. That's just a basic like posture of confidence that you can apply in your human life. Because there's a lot of people that I noticed walk like forward. They kind of make themselves smaller. Instead of like pushing your shoulders backwards with your head up and like walking as if there's some kind of I don't know, you're just happy in life. You're not trying to be recognized.
These things are important.
It's important. So these rules do give you a lot of valuable content that you can take and you can apply in your life. Kind of like the Bible is the best guideline that you can have in your life. But this is just something that you can add as well. And you can learn out of this book a lot of things that you don't have to go and experience for yourself and make mistakes in order to gain this knowledge. You can just gain this knowledge by reading this book. And that's why I would recommend it to young people, man. Really and then talking about the part where you said life is suffering, life is difficult. Yes, it is. We have to accept that and we have to take responsibility for our own lives. That is also what the book does lead to, where he talks about his daughter that also has this specific condition, like her one foot, and she couldn't like live a normal life as a teenager. It was really difficult. And she still makes the best of her life. She still ends up being successful. So a lot of the times you must you don't choose what deck of cards is handed to you in your life, but you have to play the game to your advantage. So whatever you do get that is advantageous, use that and improve on whatever things you lack at. And that we've said that a lot. Yeah. So getting off of that question, Michael, I've actually got a question for you as well. So in terms of situations that you faced in life after reading this book or during reading this book, is there any specific pieces of advice which Jordan Peterson gave in this book that you could apply in your life at that certain moment or circumstance in your life, like where you were like, yeah, I actually know like how to apply this now?
Yeah, it's a good question, man. There has actually been quite a few moments, I'd say, where I have like practically put his advice into use, man. I think probably the first thing I remember reading this rule from his, this was the first, I think even before I read the book, I saw this rule and it was titled, it's a really good one. It's titled, Why You Should Compare Yourself. It says, compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not who someone else is today. And you could say our channel's name takes a bit of inspiration from that quote, but it's so true, man. And I remember hearing that in grade 10 or so, grade 11, around there. And I did really put into practice. I realized that I was comparing myself to my peers, people. I was looking at this guy in my school who was popular and be like, cool, how can I be more like him, more like him? But now what you should really be doing, and this has changed my life, man, is looking at who I was yesterday and saying, how can I improve on that guy? And that has changed my life tremendously. That's why I'm here today. It's why I am who I am, and why I can really say that I'm proud of who I am now is because I've been taking active steps to be better than the person I was yesterday, and stop taking the focus off of other people. It doesn't help. Sometimes there's good things with competition and that kind of stuff, but I think the best way, I mean, like our channel is called, focusing on being better than who you were yesterday. It's such a beautiful principle, and that's the thing I have applied very practically in my life. But another piece of advice that he gave, which I've used, I think, since reading this book actually quite recently, and which I plan to use moving forward in all my relationships. He spoke about, it was in this rule, it was called be precise in your speech. And he was speaking about how you should have the ability to articulate yourself well and to identify a problem, whether it be something that you like or something that you don't like in a relationship of any sorts. And you should be able to identify that problem and articulate it, which means speak about it in a way that you are able to understand it and other people are able to understand it. And once you've done that, that really allows you to confront the issue. I find, and what he says in the rule, but it's very true. Oftentimes in our lives, and especially I think we'll apply this to relationships because that's how I've applied it, is that we often sort of, there's an issue, something where you just don't agree with the person, something that's annoying you a little bit about them, or something that they do that annoys you a little bit, and you don't know how to word it to ask them to improve or to be better, but so you just end up sweeping it under the rug the whole time, and it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And he gave this analogy of a dragon in a house, I remember, but you have this dragon that just grows so big, eventually it's all over the house and there's nowhere to move, and you're just trying to like edge between it. And it's true because oftentimes we just don't confront our issues, and we'd rather just keep sweeping down the rug. But the more you do that, the longer it just sits and sits and sits. It just ends up getting worse. So I think that piece of advice has also really changed my relationships quite a bit, and a lot for the better, because I've realized now it's much better to find a way to articulate yourself well, and that's only through learning. But what that allows you to do is identify a problem, probably whether it be in a relationship, let's say a romantic relationship, or whether it be just a friendship. I find as well, I think that's where I've applied it quite a bit, is if there is something that is annoying you, speak about it. Speak up, say, hey, I don't like the way that you do this thing, it just annoys me. And that'll stop it from you two just sort of looking at each other weird and funny the whole day, or even for weeks, and there's this thing brewing, but you just sort of pretend it's not there. Oh, hi, how are you doing? But there's actually a bit of under the surface, there's a bit of, it's almost like you are resenting that person a bit. But yeah, I find as soon as you actually deal with the issue, and that's the piece of advice he gave, is just deal with the issue right then and there. And it's honestly changed my relationship so much, because I think it's just very true. I think people are so scared to really confront issues that they just end up becoming bigger than they need to be, man. So yeah, there's a couple pieces of advice that I've applied practically into my life, man. And yeah, there's much more, and I hope with this book, like you said, it's not an easy read. It's one of those things you really have to sit and digest. So I'm hoping that as I go along, those things will just be sitting in the subconscious of my mind, and when I come across a difficulty in life, let's say that that those things will come to mind, and I'm sure they will, man. There's so many good pieces of advice, but I think we'll sort of start to wrap the video up here, man. Because we really want you guys to go and read this book for yourself. We could tell you everything that's in it, but I think if you take the time to read this book, and that's what I would say, is like, don't leave this video without finding a way to get your hands on this book and start reading it, because it's really going to change your life for the better. For me, it really has like significantly changed the way I do things. for the better. So yeah, I would definitely recommend it, man. It's been cool to have this conversation with you about this book, and I'm excited to read more books, man. I just love it too much.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it has been good speaking to you about this, bro, and also hearing what you've learned out of this book. And yeah, it's just amazing how each of us have our unique perceptions and have like different things that we learn from the same piece of content, or like the same source. We can take different things and add it into our own lives, and that's why it is important for you to get your hands on this book. Like, we really recommend it, so that you can get your piece of meal out of this book, and not just what we've learned out of it, but go and get like what you can really learn out of it, because
So good, man.
each of us do live like a different life. Each of us walks a different path, so each path requires different pieces of information. And yeah, so it was awesome talking to you, bro. I look forward to us talking about the male advantage. And yeah, so thanks for hosting me, man.
No, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been good to be back on an episode. We hope you guys enjoyed this one. We hope that you do go and find this book and read it. And like Daniel says, we're going to be coming out with another book review of The Male Advantage by First Man. That's someone that you guys will probably have heard quite about on this channel. But yeah, man, we just we set out to read a book a month this year, but we've sort of fallen a little bit short on that goal. But we're going to keep pulling out these videos, because I think it's really valuable, man. I don't think reading is valued enough in our society at the moment. It's sort of, people just watch YouTube and series and all that kind of stuff, and it's great. But I think reading is something that should really be brought to the front, and should really be pushed as something that you should do. For me, it's been cool, man. So looking forward to that one. But we hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please do consider, if you enjoyed it, leaving a like, subscribing to this channel for more content. We don't only do big book reviews, but we also do interviews, we do vlogs, we do all sorts of stuff about how you can invest in yourself for long-term growth, not only short-term growth, but long-term growth. We make videos about investing. So yeah, consider subscribing to this channel and following us on the podcasts and on Instagram as well. We are on there at betterthanyesterday_ZA. So thank you guys so much for your time, mate. Daniel, it's been a pleasure. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Much love.
Bye.